All right. Shalom, shalom, everybody. It is your brew here, Ban Shemayim, once again, bringing y'all another video. So on today's video, we're gonna go over a couple things. We're going through this Unpacked. And they might not let me get this one monetized because I don't know how Unpacked is, but we gonna see. They might be some haters. One of the videos last week didn't let me do my monetization because they was haters, but it don't matter. It says, "Are radical Hebrew Israelites the real Jews?" We got to go on this because this is so much propaganda, and I hate how people fall into the propaganda. It's just madness, and it's by Unpack. So, without further ado, let's get it.
Rantings of anti-Semites, but when Jew hate makes headlines,
anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism.
when rappers proclaim,
I see good things about Hitler also.
when radical
You see, when he plays that, he's not noticing his own contradiction. It's like when the anti-Semitics keep making headlines, not one person has said anything hateful. I am so tired of them comparing every black person to Hitler. Hitler had a damn country. He had an army. He had something that he could actually endanger y'all with. Y'all act like y'all more afraid. Y'all did less to protect yourself from Hitler, who was actually hurting y'all, putting y'all in ghettos, different things like that. And then y'all go so hard at us and constantly, over and over, Hebrew. It's like you gotta say it. It's like brainwash. They gotta keep saying it to make people think that Hebrews are racist and hateful, which they have ignorant people in every community that are racist and hateful. But they should acknowledge their own race and their own hatred because it's much more than we have. And there's no way we have no system in control to actually injure them at all. They have a system in control that hurts us. So we need to stop doing all y'all acting like the Nazis. This is what they always say. This is the same thing that the Nazis did. You cannot do that. You cannot. This is the same thing that the Nazis had power. Black people don't have power. Y'all misconstrued the message so much to push an agenda. An agenda. God don't like that. That evilness, that the lies. God don't like that. You better be aware of what side you're linking up on, because judgment is shortly coming. Let's get it.
Hebrew Israelites gather en masse to preach conspiracy theories.
So that's a conspiracy theory. You see how I said, and look at his face. They said, "We are the real Jews," and they said that's a conspiracy theory. What about, man? Get out of here. Y'all ain't not one person been able to explain how did y'all become white. Not one person. Y'all want to talk about conspiracy theories. Not one person wants to explain how the Bible says that you would forget your heritage, but yet y'all still know it, supposedly. Been passing it down for 3,500 years. How the Bible says that he would separate you in bondage. You would be in bondage. Not that you would just be spread through the four corners of the earth, but you would be in bondage and serve under your enemies in the four corners of the earth, which has not happened to y'all. And then he says Christ would come back and bring you home for everlasting kingdom where no harm would happen on his holy mountain, in this holy world. No harm would come at all. Not to the kid, not to the lion, not to the lamb, not to the ox, not to anything. So explain how are these prophecies fulfilled? Before you want to call people conspiracy theorists, everything you're saying is a conspiracy if you can't provide evidence of the book you're supposed to believe in. Come on, man. Come on, man. Let's get it.
It's time to speak up.
We support Hitler. Right. Because Hitler was killing your people and Hitler knew who the real Jews was.
And that's why Hebrews will be on the street corners. Because I used to do that years ago. Probably 10, 12 years ago. When people used to come up to us and be like, "What are y'all doing? Who are y'all? What do y'all believe in?" Like before they knew that you see people on the corners, those are Hebrews. We was on the corner doing that. And we never had that type of hatred. When you put this type of hatred, I done seen that same clip on about 4 different Jewish people videos. When you put out that hatred, they are going to clip you and reuse it over and over and over again. We have to be smarter. Wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. We got to be wiser. Let's keep going.
These groups endorse a toxic mix of anti-Semitism, xenophobia, and a whole lot of other hatreds. They've inspired hate crimes and murder.
But y'all don't have no hatreds. Y'all don't hate black people like your holy book tells you. Not the Torah or the Tanakh, but your holy books, the Kabbalah, the what is it? All of your holy books. I don't know why I can't think of them right now. I was about to say the Talmud, but it might be the Talmud. But y'all holy books have very horrible racist things written in them. And y'all want to call us the people of hatred.
Murder. And their numbers are growing rapidly. They've inspired hate crimes and murder. And their numbers are growing. Anti-Semitism, xenophobia, and a whole lot of other.
He says xenophobia and a whole lot of other things. Matter of fact, let me look up what xenophobia is. I'm sorry for my ignorance, y'all, because I don't know what a xenophobia is. So I gotta go in there to see what it is. Xenophobia, dislike or prejudice against people from other countries. Get out of here. Get out of here. Y'all stole land from the Palestinians and y'all still dislike them. Y'all bombing Iran constantly. Like, get out of here with the xenophobia. Y'all don't, 90% of, most of the people in Israel don't even believe. Y'all don't even believe. Most of the people over there don't even believe in the word. Y'all don't even follow the word. Y'all got tons of gay population. And now they about to hit us with the homophobic. Y'all got tons of things that's unlawful going on over there. That's like the most unlawful. Like, you'll die from it. Not even certain laws that you just unclean to the end of the day. Like, y'all are breaking laws that you would die from. Let's go.
Other hatreds. They've inspired hate crimes and murder.
Lies.
And their numbers are growing.
We inspired hate crimes, murders, lies.
Rapidly. So who are these guys? Where did their beliefs come from? And how should the Jewish community respond to them?
Now think about this. And how should the Jewish community respond to this? Who are these guys? If we made a video like this, instead of actually going over what y'all be talking about like we do in our videos, if we literally just made a video ripping apart every piece of who are these guys? You got these ones over here. You got the Ashkenazis. You got the Sephardics. And if we started breaking y'all down like that and going over just, the same way you doing a propaganda campaign and just doing everything to make you seem like the worst people possible, which some people do that. But that is what y'all would consider anti-Semitic. With us being from Shem, is what you're doing in this video not anti-Shemitic. You should address your own problems before you try to point out everybody else's issues. You put the IUIC and them dudes be being peaceful as a mug. They didn't do one thing when they went out there in protest. You said they're radical conspiracy theorists. Like, get out of here with that. It's lies, man. It's propaganda. It's so crazy when you own networks and you can put things together like this. You got the team to do it. Because understand, they probably going to ban this video because he got a team putting this video together. Let's keep going.
Our story starts with one of history's ugliest injustices, the transatlantic slave trade.
Not the ugliest, the worst. Say what it is. The worst crime ever committed. Not the ugliest injustice.
For 400 years, the backbone of the world's economy was the buying and selling of human beings based on the color of their skin. Enslaved Africans in the...
Another lie. This dude is filled with lies. It was based off the color of our skin. No, not all Africans were enslaved. That is a lie. They did not just go enslave all black people. That is a lie. There was targeted people. People act like they just brought people over here and just taught them how to work the farms. Like, they took a lot of people who were farmers, who were growers, and brought them over here on ships. Builders. Let's keep it going.
The Americas suffered every torture you can imagine. But while bodies can be enslaved and maimed and killed, faith is much harder to destroy. These communities found hope in the biblical story of the Exodus. Like the ancient Israelites, they knew firsthand the bitterness of slavery.
You see how this is wrote? They found hope in the biblical story of Exodus. No, they knew what was going on already. A lot of the people, they like to hide this. A lot of people who came over here already knew who they were, that they were God's people. So let's stop the lies.
Most enslaved Africans were forcibly converted to the Christianity of their enslavers. But for some, the profound identification with the ancient Israelites crystallized into a theology known as Hebrew Israelism.
As far back as the plantation, if you listen to a lot of old Negro spirituals, wade in the water, go down Moses, but they are spiritually connecting to the strength of Israel. It's not necessarily just about identity. It's about a sort of like spiritual connection to God.
Now let's go into that. Negro spiritual started in 1620. We were brought over here in 1619. And Negro spirituals was being sung in 1620. I'm not going to say they started in 1620, but they were being sung in 1620. So if we break it down like that, then it's not like people came over here and started reading the Bible and then they was like, well, we're going to identify with these people out the Bible. No, these people already came over here knowing it. They were singing songs, asking God to come save them, to help them go through what was going on. Let's keep going.
No two groups of Hebrew Israelites were quite alike. Some worshipped in a style nearly identical to Pentecostal Christianity, with Jesus front and center. Others adopted mainstream Jewish practices. Some mashed up the two and added a dash of African nationalism. No matter how they practiced, all congregations believed they were the descendants of the ancient Israelites who had once been enslaved in Egypt. But here's the crazy part that we never see mentioned in history textbooks.
You see that? Let's go back and get that again.
Been enslaved in Egypt. But here's the crazy part that we never see mentioned in history textbooks. It's possible that some enslaved Africans identified so strongly with the Israelites because they were Jews, or at least of Jewish descent. After all, this is history textbooks. It's possible.
Stop calling them Jewish people. They weren't Jewish people. They are the original people. Stop doing that. They're Judeans. They're the original Judean people. Stop trying to lump them in with a religion. Oh, they were Jewish people. No, they were the original people of the bloodline, not the people who follow the religion. Let's keep going.
That some enslaved Africans identified so strongly with the Israelites because they were Jews, or at least of Jewish descent. After all, there's been a Jewish presence in Africa for thousands of years. You may be familiar with the Igbo of Nigeria or the Beta Israel of Ethiopia, but did you know that there were enough Jews in the West African Songhai Empire for the king to issue an edict of expulsion in 1492? So we shouldn't dismiss the possibility that at least some Africans held Jewish or Israelite identities well before their enslavement in the Americas. For the most part, early Hebrew Israelite communities got along with mainstream Ashkenazi and Sephardi Jews. But there's always
He said for the most part. You see, when these people clip this stuff together, it be a lie. Like they be putting together lies. It wasn't for the most part. In particular parts. How was it for the most part? When the dang freedom for black people really didn't start kicking up into the 1960s and we went and fought for Jewish people. My grandfather fought in the war in the 1940s. That's almost 15 years later by the time he was able to get to go to the same bathroom as everybody else. Probably later, more than 15 years after he came back fighting for another people who were on the verge of extinction. So let's not say that they were or sort of on the same page, because if you were sort of on the same page, you would have been fighting for these people in justice. Let's get it. Especially since you came from injustice. Like it shouldn't have even took that many years after we fought for y'all to break free of y'all injustice before y'all stood forward on something and tried to stand up for the injustice that we were suffering.
Gotta be one maniac. A maniac is Arabic/Hebrew slang for a jerk. In the 1880s, that maniac was one Frank S. Cherry, a self-proclaimed prophet and founder of one of the earliest Hebrew Israelite communities. the Church of the Living God, the pillar ground of truth for all nations. Unlike other Hebrew Israelite congregations, Cherry believed that Black Americans were the only real.
Okay, so it was fine. Listen to what he's saying. Before 1963, it was fine that Black people identified as Jews, as Hebrew people, as the original Hebrew people. Where is that at in our history books? Now, come on, let's be serious. Where is you're finding out all of this as if it wasn't covered up and hidden? Like, y'all never wanted us to consider ourselves God's people. Y'all compare us to Hitler for saying we're God's people. Let's get it.
Israelites, which made non-Black Jews usurpers of their identity and heritage. Cherry's Shabbat services often involved long sermons about the evils of the Jews who would get what was coming to them in the year 2000 when Jesus...
You notice they didn't do one quote. They didn't do one quote. The guy could have literally been using quote for quote out of the Bible. But they're not going to use one quote because they know it's going to point the finger at them and show their fault. Let's keep going.
Jesus would return to start a race war that would end with white folks in chains. Obviously, I'm not going to spend time debunking the unhinged theology of a man.
You can't debunk the man because you literally did not even use a quote from him. You literally personified his whole speech into like 2 sentences. That was probably the worst things you could imagine to say, to turn whatever he said into the worst possible things imaginable. Let's keep going.
Who believed that the earth was square. Did I not mention that? That was big for Cherry. But I do have to address one of his ideas, because unfortunately, it's one that a lot of people share. That Jews are white Europeans. That's completely false. Jews are a Semitic people. Our culture, our nation, and our identity are...
This guy, like, where are you a Jewish guy at? Like, do the Jewish people even accept you? Like, you out here talking, guaranteed you getting paid for this, but where are the people who accept you at? Said us Jews of color. Like, Jews of color aren't even really accepted. Let's keep going.
Originated in the land of Israel. Add in a couple millennia of exile that sent us to every corner of the earth, and you get a vast and dazzling variety of ways to look and be Jewish. So yeah, there are a lot of reasons that I don't love Frank Cherry's ideology. And I want to stress, neither did most Hebrew Israelites. In fact, some of the founders of later Hebrew Israelite congregations were mixed-race Jews of color, adding an extra dimension to their identity. So
why didn't he name none of them? And who are you to speak on the behalf of any other camps? Like, you don't have no connection to any other camps. Who are you to say that even the Hebrew camps didn't? So you're trying to say that part of the Hebrew camps used to be good, but now they're all bad. Tell me how this makes sense. At the time that you didn't even consider us Hebrews or didn't listen to anything we had to say, it was fine for us saying we're Hebrews. But now that news and media, YouTube, and now that it's catching on and people are waking up to the truth, you're like, well, no. Even the other Hebrew camps didn't like what he was saying. Where's your proof? The burden, you're the one telling this story. So the burden of proof is on you to provide evidence and not just bear false witness. Like, this is bearing false witness, which is a sin to death. Like, obviously you don't read your Torah. Come on, let's keep going.
Where do they belong? Are they Jews? Are they Hebrew Israelites? Are they both? Well, again, that really depends on who you ask. So I ask. In short, the Hebrew Israelite community is pretty diverse. But Asriel Moore, a 31-year-old Hebrew Israelite living in Israel, isn't particularly interested in definitions or labels.
I'm not focusing on what separates us. I'm focusing on what connects us. If we want to focus on things that separates us, we can find a lot of those things. But my question is, what unites us? And what unites us is actually the desire to return back to our homeland.
Unfortunately.
Now, this is the thing. It says, what unites us is a urge to come back to our wholeness. Okay. Of course he's going to say that. He's already living in the land. He's already living in the land. Like, I can go over many videos to show you how they treat the black people and the Arabs over there in Israel. He's already living in Israel. So if he can get the chance to sit down with any type of person who considers themselves a Jewish person to make any ground, I'm sure he's like, yes, yes, yes. Because think about it. Let's go back to the 1960s and the 1950s when we were hated the way they're hated over there. When we were hated that way, when it was just out in the broad daylight in America, how much we were hated. We were just hoping to sit down with a person and have dialogue back then. See, but we've went past that. We've had dialogue. They supposedly changed the system, but then they conform the system to make it seem as if it's better, but to still have the same obstacles in our way to hold us down and hold us back and keep us under control and have us worshiping other things other than God and to keep us away from our true identity. So they just haven't realized that yet. They've only been in Israel since the 1960s, the early 1950s, the late 1950s, early 1960s. That's as long as they've been that the black people from America have been in Israel. So of course they're still trying to fight for their equality. We're supposed to be equal already. We're no longer here fighting for equality. We're supposed to be equal. We're sitting in the room that you saying we have all the rights as everybody else, seeing that even though you say this, we don't have all the rights. While he's in a place knowing that they consider him less than. It's obvious. It's out in the open. So of course he's going to be willing to sit for dialogue because he's still trying to get the promise of equality that we were given almost 100 years ago. Let's keep going.
No community is exempt from the prejudices embedded within the laws of their society. In the racially segregated societies of the 19th and 20th centuries in America, many would-be Jews of color who were seeking access to Judaism found those doors closed, forbidden from Jewish communities or houses of worship.
He should have brought this up earlier. He mentioned earlier that in the early 1900s, there was tons of Hebrew Israelite camps. It wasn't until the 1960s where one guy changed them to be racially divided. But now you're going back to the 1920s and saying, oh, well, Jewish people they closed the doors on black people who knew that they were God's people. They closed the doors. They wouldn't let them join. Oh, but then 30, 40 years later, when we established our own system, when that man that you mentioned earlier established his own system, now it's a bad thing. Now it's bad. But back here, no, we know bad things happen. Usually, bad things happen. For every action, there's a reaction. You blotted us out of knowing who we were. God showed us anyways. Once we found out who we were, we came back into the truth all the way back then in the 17 and 1800s, leading up to the 1900s, like he was explaining earlier. But then in the 1900s, after 200 years of people claiming they were God's people here and still enduring slavery, in the 1920s, when we tried to come back, because obviously they were thinking at that time, well, maybe if we go to them, they know they are brothers, they God's people too. Maybe it'll be less persecution. And you blocked the doors from them from entering. And then that's why the one guy should have came after this. The guy in the 1960s, you should have brought him up after the 1920s to show why he became that way. Why did he become more isolated and against the other races? Because they were against him. I'm not saying he's right for that, but you didn't make one quote. So I don't know if that guy was right or wrong because you never listed one quote for me to even say if the guy was right or wrong. You just tried to paint the picture as if he was some evil guy.
Barred from the knowledge and practice they saw as their birthright. That exclusion was painful, even traumatic. And it's one reason why the Jewish and Hebrew Israelite communities have such a complicated relationship. Rabbi Wentworth Arthur Matthew, founder of the largest Hebrew Israelite community in America, understood this. As the head of the Commandment Keepers movement, he dedicated much of his life to building bridges with mainstream Jewish communities. Though his rejection from the New York Board of Rabbis left Rabbi Matthew feeling stung and discredited, he never let his personal hurt calcify into resentment. Instead, he advocated fiercely for Jewish communities in Europe during and after World War II, encouraging his followers to maintain that spirit of brotherly kindness and sympathy towards the Jews. Rabbi Matthew would have been horrified by his former congregant Abba Bivens, who...
You see that once again, you making up he would have been horrified by his former comrade. How do you know this? Stop putting words in people's mouths. Stop putting words in people's mouths and making it like something actually. These brothers could have been on the same thing. And you making it like because one guy might have had more peace in his heart. Maybe he experienced less hate. So therefore he didn't have the hate to give. Hurt people hurt people. If somebody rapes you, you get hurt. You try to bottle that in. That affects you for your life. And that person who's been raped or touched end up going and touching or raping somebody else. If somebody been beat up or abused in that type of way as a child, as they get older, they go out and put that same hurt and that pain that was inflicted on them onto other people. Not saying it's right, but this is behavior. These are natural behaviors. So for you to go at this brother as if it's not a natural, but he might have had more hate in him than the other guy because he might have experienced more hate. Or maybe the other guy figured out the way to have love and care about all people. He make it like that guy was just for Jewish people. I'm sure the other guy was for all people. And he tried to link with the Jewish people because y'all had everything we needed. Like this dude died in 1973. Why didn't y'all send him to Israel and give him a place if he was so peaceful? Why did y'all stop him from being a rabbi? See, these are things you got to end before you could just go at the Hebrew Israelites. You got to answer these questions. You can't just paint these people as bad when you admitting in your own statement that these people weren't allowed to do what God created them to do because y'all had barred them out of a system. So then you want to point out the new system, not the new system, but the system that God put in them to set up that old system back up. Now you want to go against that old system and say, well, no, that system's wrong. You should have been like this other guy who we never helped out. Who we never gave any type of, we didn't treat him like he was one of us. We didn't let him become a rabbi. We didn't let him do anything, but you should have been like this guy.
Broke from the commandment keepers to found a new congregation that would soon give rise to some of the most noxiously anti-Semitic ideologies in America. An ideology rooted explicitly in the hatred of a lot of people, especially Jews. Unsurprisingly,
who hates a lot of people? People who hate are people who hate, not camps. Stop bringing up camps and religious ideology as if it's hateful. No, I've talked to tons of Hebrews in camps who believe hatred that they camps don't even believe in. Like, people come up with their own minds and their own things based upon how they feeling. That's why I always say you take your feelings out and just go with the facts so we could get away from hate. Because unless you admit that you've been hurt and get over that pain, you can't move to the next subject. You can't move to the next thing. Let's keep going.
Radical Hebrew Israelites traffic in all of the greatest hits of anti-Semitic stereotypes. Jews control the world, Jews control the slave trade, Jews profit off of other people, Jews are the synagogue of Satan, etc., etc., etc.
Are not all of those things, in the most part, true? For the small amount of population that Jewish people got, do they not have an overwhelming power in the world? For the small amount of population that Jewish people got, do they not have an overwhelming amount of people in Hollywood? See, we're not just going to say like all Jews are rich. Let's not go there. Let's talk about how they have the smallest population of people, but yet they have people in all of these powerful positions, whether it be from central banking to televisions to the music industry. So we need to stop saying that these are not real until you actually go and address this. See, because black people won't hide that. When you talk about how we great sports players, we be like, yeah, Kobe was black. Jordan was black. LeBron black. Magic was black. Black on black 5. Like we support when our people are successful. Rwanda, anything we do, all that we'll support it. It sucks that we won't support people in our family that's not successful, but let somebody become successful and we'll start to look at, you can always have some haters. But watch people start to look at them and admire them and idolize them because of their success. We look up to the people with success. We'll brag about that. Well, we got the Kanye. Before Kanye West lost all of that money, everybody was like, Kanye West a billionaire, Jay-Z a billionaire. They love talking about who's a black billionaire. People talk about that all the time. But then y'all hide it. Tell me how that makes sense. And then say if we talk about it, we're making up stories and rumors,
etc. Let me put it this way. You know something's messed up when you see Tom Metzger, a former KKK Grand Dragon, whatever that means, remark approvingly that radical Hebrew Israelites are the black counterparts of us.
Now, you gonna take a damn KKK dude and throw his quote in on this? Are you serious? The people who hate us, and they're gonna say, well, they're just like us. If we were like the KKK, we're the counterparts to the KKK. If we was like the KKK, we'd have burned something on their damn lawns. We'd have lynched a couple of them. Stop doing that. You comparing us to violent individuals who have killed us over multiple times. You lied about brothers killing Jewish people in New York because they were Hebrews. You brought up multiple lies on different stories like that and made it like it was Hebrews doing it versus just a simple black versus white. But yet, you don't want to talk about the actual facts and the truth. Oh no, the KKK said that they're the black counterpart to the KKK. But the KKK hung people. Yeah, they burned people. They burned stuff on people's grass. Matter of fact, I think it was about last year. A lady in Tennessee had a cross burned on her grass, and some black people from a whole different area, some black males, had to drive down there and post up like security in front of her house to make sure the lady wasn't feeling threatened. We are not doing that. So the fact that you threw this dude quote in, matter of fact, because I know this video long because I kept having to stop him because he was on a whole bunch of madness. Let's go to the next video, all right? We're going to go to this video because before y'all talk about other people's problems, you need to fix your problems. So let's see what the problems are with the Jewish community in America from this Jewish guy. He was born Jewish. Let's get it. This is called, matter of fact, I got to go over this video. This video is called The Jewish Man is Fighting Racism Within the Orthodox Community. All right, let's go through this brother and see what he got going on.
I was just walking down the block with my family. And, you know, your typical Chabad guy, white beard, stopped in his tracks, just staring, slack-jawed, open mouth, while we crossed the street. And I turned around and waved to him and said, Shabbat Shalom. If you can stare, you can say hello. So he figured out how his mouth worked. He kept on with his day. But that was yesterday. That was like this past week. The way people think about the American Jewish narrative, or just the Jewish narrative in general, is generally a Eurocentric, Ashkenormative lens. You know, Jewish is like bagel and lox, Woody Allen and Barbra Streisand. And it's very highly cognitive.
You see that? So what the black guy is saying is contradicting what that one guy was just saying. Oh, it's all about different colors and different people. But this black guy been a Jewish person his whole life, and he's giving you a whole different perspective on what it's about. He said it's more about white people. That's what he said. The Barbra Streisand. Let's keep going.
Dissonant. Jewish stereotypes are Eurocentric. Like, what's the stereotype of a black Jewish person? Or an Asian Jewish person, or a Hispanic Jewish person? None of those exist because they don't think that we exist enough to even make a caricature of us.
You see? They don't even think that we exist. So what was the other guy in the video even talking about? This is how you do it. You use other witnesses to tear down a false witness.
I grew up in the mid to late 80s, family of 7. We were one of the 3 African-American Chabad families of Crown Heights. Most people who are Black and Jewish either have a non-Jewish Black parent and a Jewish parent that is non-Black. Both my parents were African-American and Jewish, and so it was sort of weaved into both of who they were. For Shabbats, we'd have to like stand up and give sort of a summary of the weekly Torah portion, and on Sundays as a family we watch on PBS little civil rights movements, like mini documentaries, so it was very much fully integrated in both of our identities. There's this sort of perception that race isn't a Jewish problem because Judaism doesn't concern itself with race. There's also the greater narrative saying that Jews aren't white, yet they don't seem to realize the double standard when somebody like myself walks into a room and it's like, how are you Jewish? Because I don't look white.
See what he just brought that up. The other dude in the other video said exactly that. Jews aren't just white people. And he says, well, that's kind of contradictory because when I walk in a room, I don't get that sentiment. They're like, how are you Jew? How are you a Jew? So you want us to join something that we're not even welcome in? Because the truth that God is revealing to us is hurtful to you? And you compare our truth to something Hitler did? When Hitler had armies, concentration camps, where's our concentration camps? Where's our army vehicles? What could we do to actually harm y'all as a people? Like literally, if we was to go to war with y'all right now, y'all got a country with the Iron Dome. Y'all have nuclear bombs. You have F-22s and some of the best tanks out. What could we literally do to fight y'all in the war while y'all want to constantly compare us to Hitler? Let's keep
weird sort of circular logic, which prevents real substantive conversations of race from happening. There's this passage, if God had not saved us, then us, our children, and our children's children would still be slaves in Egypt. And as someone African-American, that resonates very differently than it does to someone who isn't and Jewish, because we see the entire structure of a country where, oh, we were generous enough to give you, freedom, but let's roll back some of that affirmative action, or let's throw in some policing based on slave codes and all those things. And so that passage illustrates very succinctly the African-American experience for us. How do I see my Jewishness? It's just my Jewishness. It's, I can't untangle that. It's like asking the color purple to untangle the red from the blue. It's purple. That's what it is. The Jewish community needs to understand there's not one way to look Jewish. The African-American community needs to learn it's not one way to be authentically Black. And anyone else in between doesn't fall into those two camps, to break down those sort of stereotypes and monoliths that they hold.
Look, and I feel sorry for this brother because he was raised this way. That's what he believed in. So he caught in the middle of that boat. He's sitting there fighting. He's sitting there fighting. He fighting to be recognized. His family fought to be recognized. But then we watched a dude earlier who was like, we're not separate. Jewish isn't about white people. But then, didn't we just listen to a black guy? And that's in America. Because that guy don't sound like he's from Israel, the guy who was in the video. It sounds like he's probably Western, mostly American, the guy we watched in the first video. So we just showed in America that that's not true. Now let's go to Palestine now. This is called, they came here to attack Arabs. Welcome to life in Israel's mixed cities, right? So let's see what the life is like in the mixed city of Israel. Because he said we're hateful. But then the black guy just said, well, why do they hate me because I'm Black? Why do they look at me weird because I'm Black? But I was born this way. Why is this racial problems happening when we both supposed to be the same belief and the same customs? And that was in America. Now let's go see what this two-part system does.
I'm here to attack Arabs.
You're watching Jewish Israelis, some armed with baseball bats, headed in the direction of a mosque.
Local Jews marked Arab houses in a red spray, so the ones who come from outside will recognize our houses and attack us. ISIS did it, and the Nazis did it. And now they are doing it for us.
This is
he missed one. Cause the one guy compared us to the KKKs in the first video. He missed one. Oh, the KKK did it. Yeah, they would mark our houses before they would come. They would burn a cross on it, let us know, hey, we gonna catch you. That was their mark for us. Oh yeah, then ISIS did it. Oh, the Nazis did it, and now they're doing it to them. So who's more like the KKK then? They compared us to the KKK. Who's really more like the KKK if you're marking tags on people's houses before you come try to kill them?
This is the city of Lid, or Lod, as it's been known since Israeli forces took control of it in 1948. It's one of just a handful of binational cities where Palestinians and Jewish Israelis live together. Residents here told us that right-wing Jewish settlers are moving into Arab-majority neighborhoods in a deliberate effort to dilute the population.
We want the Palestinians.
He said, death to Arabs. You see that? Death to Arabs. Come on now. Come on. So who did you when he said that the ICIU was out there? Was they saying death to anybody? No, they said we are the real Jews. But this is not hateful, huh? This is not racist, huh?
Said, this is our land, this is our country, this is our city.
In the aftermath of a violent crackdown, new levels of mistrust and generational trauma are haunting its victims. We're in Lid to find out how Palestinians are challenging Israel's de facto policy of divide and rule while demanding freedom from systemic oppression.
Demanding freedom from systemic oppression. Sounds like what we going through here. But they're the ones so hated. Oh, we're like the KKK to them.
The minute that set everything and the police lost it is when an Arab boy climbed that electric pole over there and he moved the Israel flag and he put instead a Palestinian flag.
For activist Ghassan Munayir, massive protests this spring signaled a kind of reawakening for the descendants of Palestinians who resisted efforts to violently force them out in 1948.
Inside Israel, we are Palestinians too. They tried all their best to tear us from our people and our nationality and our identity. They failed.
What happened next was several days of violence.
They tried to tear them from their people, their identity, and their nationality. Does that not sound familiar? Who else did that happen to? I guess anybody that you deem needs to lose their nationality or identity because you want something from them, they must have to lose it so you can get it, right? So the Palestinians can't be Palestinians. They just got to be Kurds or something else. Go back to wherever else you're from because we want the part of land that you're in. Just like black people had to become black people or African Americans or bywords or proverbs. We couldn't actually be having a real identity because you needed to have our identity. So we can't be the same people. It's like in that video we had just watched. That's why they hid the fact. They was talking about, that guy talking about, since the even in the 1700s, there were people saying that they were God's people. But then somehow in the 1960s, we became radical, huh? Even though we haven't really killed none of y'all. I mean, the one time we got violent against Jewish people in the New York when they had that I think it was 1967, 1968, 1978, something like that, that riot that they had in New York. It was a little black girl and a little black boy that got killed. And that's why they rioted. So when did we just come after y'all and attack y'all, huh? Let's keep it.
Violence. 2 men were killed. One was Jewish and the other Palestinian.
يا الله ما اقدرش امرق من عنده هذا الكيكار ما اقدرش كل ما امرق من جنبه وشي بكتم على نفسي والله العظيم احساس مخيف.
Marwa Hassune's husband Musa was just a few minutes from home when he got caught up in protests that turned deadly.
هون قتلوه هون وين ما انا واقفه بالضبط.
The father of 3 children was shot dead after a settler fired his gun at protesters.
المستوطنين شايف هدول البنايات اللي غاد هدول بنوهم للمستوطنين عملوا لهم حاره لإلهم خصوصي إلهم.
Religious settlers have been moving into Lid from the occupied West Bank for over a decade with resources and support from the state. Their group is called the Gerin Torani, or Torah Seeds in English. They're expanding their community into Arab neighborhoods with the express goal of establishing a Jewish majority.
أعطيني إيدك تيت أعطيني إيدك.
Marwa visits her husband's grave daily with her family.
أحلى أيام حياتي شفتها معه. أحلى أيام حياتي كل يوم أحلى من اللي قبله.
Suspects were detained in Musa's killing but released shortly after. Marwa says it's a testament to the ways Palestinians are treated differently by the justice system.
Sounds like familiar, huh? Sounds like black people in America. Suspect was detained but wasn't arrested and was released, huh?
وحطوا على الدار لأنه هو يهودي واللي مات عربي. فلو كان العكس القاتل هو عربي واللي انقتل يهودي فأكيد ما كانوش راح يروحوه.
Palestinians with Israeli citizenship face dozens of discriminatory laws that limit economic opportunity, restrict their movements, and deny them access to their land. And they live in a climate of pervasive fear and punishment. But Marwa and her family are determined to fight back.
ولو صار في أنا العكس كان موسى أكيد بسكتش عشاني وأنا مش راح أسكت عشانه. أنا بوعده أكيد أنا مش راح أسكت عشانه لموسى. والقاتل راح ينحكم.
For Marwa's 6-year-old daughter Mila, what's left is hopelessness and confusion.
حابة إني أعيش معاه بس هذا أبرة. هو كان زلمة طيب كان يهتم فينا كلنا مش بس فيه كان هو يحبنا وأنا كتير هلأ مشتاقة له بعرفش شو أسوي هلأ بس مرة شفناه لما كان لابس أبيض
لما ودعنا
بعدين بابا راح ما قدرتش أفهم يعني إيش عم بيقولوا وأنا بعدين ما قدرتش
اشتقتي له حبيبتي ما تخافيش اشتقتي له
أنا كنت أشتاق لبابا.
Let's end this right here. That's sad. We're going to go into the scriptures. We're going to end it right here and hop into the scriptures. Because, man, that's crazy, man. Matter of fact, all right, matter of fact, let's go here. We're going to hit up Psalms real quick. No, we're not going to hit up Psalms. We're just going to go into it because I know this video probably long. But I was going to go into Psalms because the lady mentioned earlier in the first video about the slave songs that they were singing, the old Negro spiritual. So I wanted to go to Psalms and kind of go over that in Psalms 137. But I'm going to just tell y'all it's Psalms 137 down by the rivers in Babylon. And y'all could go read it for yourself. And I'm sure some of y'all have already read it. But let's go into this. Acts 5, right? And we're going to start at 1. But a certain man named Ananias, right? With Sapphira, his wife, sold a possession and kept back part of the price. His wife was also being privy to it, and bought a certain part and laid it at the apostles' feet. But Peter said, Ananias, why hath Satan filled thine heart to lie to the Holy Ghost and to keep back part of the price of thy land, or of the land. Whilst it remained, was it not thy own? And after it was sold, was it not in thy own power? Why hast thou conceived this thing in thine heart? Thou hast not lied unto men, but unto God. Right? And this is the thing. They're not lying just to people. Their propaganda campaign, it's not just to people. Satan has filled their heart. They're lying to themselves and to God. And God's going to show them the truth. It's going to be revealed. Now let's hit this. Revelations, right? It says, and behold, this Revelations 22 and 12. It says, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according to his work shall be. I am Alpha and Omega. Ahaya, right? Ahaya, right? Haya means to be or to exist. I is the first letter of the alphabet, the beginning. And we know who's the end in the new kingdom and the new earth, right? So all praises, Kala Ahaya, right? I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they might have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs, right? So the people who don't have the commandments, there are dogs, and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whatsoever loveth, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie, right? So the people who love all of these, they are a lie. They are liars. You see, so people love the evil things. They're sorcerers, whoremongers, murderers, idolaters. And that turns them into liars. So that dude we watched the video earlier, he might be a decent guy. But that was a good show for him to make some money on. You can tell, look at the work and the production. He's getting some money off of that. And this is the thing. You don't have to lie. He put in words for people. He didn't have to put in these words. They didn't say that. That's bearing false witness. Let's get this. Proverbs 6 and 16. It says, these things doeth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are abomination unto him. A proud look, right? A lying tongue. That's what that guy was doing. And hands that shed innocent blood. Isn't that Palestinian wasn't he an innocent man? A heart that deviseth wicked imaginations. Feet that be swift in running to mischief. A false witness. Once again, to the guy in the first video. That speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. So you're speaking lies. They're speaking lies. Like he said at the beginning of the video. He said, oh, no, this guy messed it all up in 1960 something. But then he said that all the way in the 17 and 1800s, it wasn't messed up. But then again, nobody was accepting us. Even when the one guy came out and was like, in the 1970s, we don't want to be supported by you. We're going to be a separate people. We don't need your backing. We don't need your support. We got God. Oh, he was wrong for that. But all the other people who tried to link with you and come together as one, even to this day, like on the second video, hey, just be the dog. Just be our dog. Let us treat us however we want to treat you. You can still be part of us. You just got to let us treat us however we want. We don't accept you equally, but you can still be a part of us. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. A false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. Let's hit this Ezekiel. This is Ezekiel 36, right? It says, therefore say unto the house of Israel, thus saith the Lord God, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for my holy name. That's talk. God is saying he did it for himself, not just for us, but for him, for the Most High, Kala Ahaya, right? He did it for his own sake, for his holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither ye went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, saith the Lord God, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen. So this is one of the things they don't want to actually say. We fulfilled they want to say that God brought us home, but they don't want to actually try to fulfill the prophecies that's written down in the Bible. It says, for I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all the countries, and I will bring you into your own land. Then I will sprinkle clean water upon you. The baptism, all the way back in the Old Testament, it was talking about the baptism. Then I will sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh, right? And I will put my spirit within you, and I will cause you to walk in my statutes. So this is when the laws is written on God's heart. And ye shall keep my judgments and do them. Ye shall dwell in the land that I give you and your fathers, and ye shall be my people, and I will be your God. And I will also save you from all your uncleanliness. Where is the laws written on your hearts at? Where is the Savior from uncleanliness at? You was trying to bash Hebrew Israelites. Why don't you tell us how you fulfill these prophecies? And I will call for the corn and will increase it. And I will lay no famine upon you. And I will multiply the fruit of the tree and increase of the field. And ye shall receive no more reproach. That ye shall receive no more reproach of famine among the heathen. Then shall ye remember your own ways of evils and your own doings that were not good, and shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and for your abominations. Not for your sakes do I this, saith the Lord God, but be it known unto you, be ashamed and confounded for your own ways, O house of Israel. Right? It says, thus saith the Lord, in the day that I shall have cleansed you from all your iniquities, I will also cause you to dwell in the cities, and the waste shall be builded, and the desolate land shall be tilled. Where's the waste? Where's the buildings? Where's all of this? Where is this happening at if you are the people of God's people, right? Or you are the people of God's Bible? In the desolate shall be tilled. Whereas it lay desolate in the sight of all that passed by, and they shall say, the land of Edom. See, this once again shows us how we should take our hate away, right? It says, oh, my bad. It says, in all they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden. See, you want to receive this reward. That's why you need to take the hate away and do the right things. We need to do it as a people. But we also got to understand they're going to hate us. In the waste and desolate and ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited, right? And the wall will be fire, as God said, right? And it says, then the heathen that are left round about you shall know that I, the Lord, build the ruined places and plant that which was desolate. I, the Lord, have spoken it and will do it. Thus saith the Lord God, I will yet for this be inquired of by the house of Israel, to do it for them. I will increase them with man like a flock, as a holy flock, as the flock of Jerusalem. And in her solemn feast, so shall the waste cities be filled with flocks of men, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Now, this is the last scripture today of this video, because I know this video is probably extra long. You have no idea how bad my back hurt, neither, yo. But let's get it. This is John 8:42. The children of the devil, right? It says, Yeshua said unto him, If God were your father, ye would love me. For I proceeded forth and came from God. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do ye not understand my speech? Even because ye cannot hear my word? Ye are of your father the devil. What does the devil do? In the lust of your father ye will do, right? So if you are like the devil, you're going to act like the devil. Bearing false witness, like the guy in the first video. He bared false witness over and over and over in through that video. It says, he was a murderer from the beginning, right? So murderers, just like the Palestinian guy who got murdered. In abode, not in the truth, because there are no truth in them. So there's no way for them to abode, right? Which means to make a stand, to stand on truth, because they have no truth. When ye speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, right? His own, his one's own distinct. He's speaking of his own. It's like how people say, this is my opinion. Right, that's the lie. That's the bearing false witness that they do. For he is a liar and the father of it. See, they get it from their daddy. They get it from their zaddy. They get it from their zaddy. It says, for he is a liar and the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, ye believe me not. Which of you convinceth me of sin? And I shall say the truth. Why do ye not believe me? He that is of God heareth God's words. Ye therefore hear them not, because ye are not of God. Right? So that was the last scripture I wanted to read. Matter of fact, let's go back to that one more time. Hit that last part. It says, he that is of God heareth God's words. He therefore hear them not, because it says, ye therefore hear them not, because ye are not of God. So that's why they bear false witness so much. That's why there's so many lies, because these people aren't of God. He needs to. He might actually be by blood a Hebrew or a Jew, or one of the Israelite people. I don't know what his nationality or anything like that is, but the thing behind it is, then follow the law. You wouldn't be making videos like that if you were following the law. You make a video to bash the whole people. You notice how I did not bash, or it wasn't my intention to bash the entire Jewish race of people or faith or religion or whatever, right? I might bash some of the stuff that is false about their religion, but I'm not bashing them entirely as a people, right? Which he kept saying the radical Hebrew. You didn't hear me once say the radical. I say y'all, because there are a portion of them that behave that way. So some of them, or some of y'all, I never heard them say that. I never heard y'all, right? Because there's a portion of y'all, and that's what I showed through the other videos, how the black guy was showing that, look, they don't accept me, and I was born this way. And then the Arabs in Israel was like, look, they killing us, they hating us, they put all these laws on us. Excuse me. Kind of sounds like the Jim Crow system, right? In all of these things. So I wasn't talking about a whole entire people. The video I just came before this I just made at the first video I made for this week was about us not hating everybody. That we would be hated and we shouldn't direct that hate back towards people. So none of this video was meant to be hateful or have hate directed towards the Jewish people as a whole. But they need to fix their own problems and their own hatred and let us come together as a people. You are showing your cards. You're showing your hands. It's like you playing a card game and you see that I'm taking all the books. So now Instead of you just waiting, and you might have flushed the rest of the books. You was playing spades. If you'd have just waited and let me get that last spade out my hand, you could have ran the whole deck with your hearts because you got all the hearts. But you know what? You didn't. Instead, you wanted to go ahead and try to save that spade to try to cut my heart. So as soon as I throw that top heart out, you cut it. You take that last spade, and guess what? I run the books from there. You throw out a club, I beat you with that club, and now my heart's going to run the rest of the books because you weren't being patient. You weren't being patient. And that's kind of how it is. So this is not against all of them, but the ones who constantly want to paint a narrative against my people, when y'all have the biggest narrative on y'all, but y'all use the news and the media, there's sections of your community that are some of the worst people on the planet. Now, I'm not talking about self-hate. Like, my community has a lot of self-hate because we were slaves. They made us hate each other. Yeah. Willie Lynch. Like they trying to do with the Palestinians. But y'all hate everyone else to the vicious point. Y'all blow up and kill people in Iran. You blow up and kill people in your own countries. Your citizens go through and kill people. You have sections of people that really hate other people. Black people, for the most part, rarely kill other races. We kill each other because we hate each other. And we were never the killing people. The Bible didn't say Jacob would get everything by the sword. It said Esau was. Esau would get everything from the sword. So on that note, I'm going to end the video. So if you liked it or if you didn't, hit the like button. Drop a comment. Let's talk about this. This is probably going to be a good conversation one right here. I'm sure a lot of people got a lot to say. Tell me what y'all opinions is with this guy, where y'all think he went wrong, and do you think that the other videos prove that he should be focusing on the problems in his own community, building up his house, and not focusing on the problems in other people's community, or what he deems to be a problem in other people's community? Because the brews are actually more of a help to our community, getting people back to God, getting people back under the covenant, getting people into some sort of truth. Even if they only go in for a minute, they're more of a help to our society than a destruction of our society. The destruction was telling us we didn't have to follow no commandments, we didn't have to do anything, and we mess up and everything's fine. There was no reason to try to correct where we messed up at. That's what the problem was. So drop the comments, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. On that note, I just want to say Thawada, which means thank you. Barakatah, which means bless you. Bless everybody for watching this video and kicking it with your boy or your man or your brew, right? Because I didn't want to take Go Black to Africa saying, but kicking it with your brew, Ban Shemayim, and Kaula Hayabah Shemishaya. That's all praises to the Most High God in the name of His Son. And shalom, everybody. Shalom. Peaceful greetings. And once again, thank y'all for tuning in. Sorry that the video is so long. Let's get in the chat and talk about this for sure. For sure. And on that note, peace. Peace out, y'all. Shalom.